Aloha kākou o wau ka puakili I koa ka mai. No ka āina ho'o pula pula, ka awawa wai anae mai au. Aloha and welcome to our final Pūlama ya Wai anae, Kūkulu o Wai anae lecture series. We have 2 panels this evening, and this is about Wai anae facing future. This evening we have 3 of our Mākua from the Wai anae Moku, and on the second panel we will also have about 4 to 5 of our OPO from the Wai anae Moku. Before we get started, we want to go ahead and pule, so I can open us up in pule. Pule kako ke olu olu. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for each and every day that you bless us with. We thank you for this educational facility here that is a home base for our people, that is an inspiration, that is a place for our young and our not so young to come and to continue learning, Lord. It is also a community place where we can host community functions that help our educational system, that help us to move further as to where our Hawaiian community needs to go and where we want to be. We thank you for each and every one of our participants that have already come before us and that are also coming this evening, Lord. We thank you for our supporters, especially for Oren Tsutsumi for being our production person, and for Lucy Gay, and for Danny Wyatt, and for all of the folks that have come to help us, Lord. We pray for an evening of enlightenment. And we also pray to take care of our families back home and to also watch over us as we go home and to continue our family lives. In Jesus' name we pray all these things. We give you all the honor, all the praise, and all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, amen. Yes, so this evening, before we get started, as we oftentimes do, we're going to have Auntie Pua Case from the Mauna Wakea to introduce us and to share what the Kūkulu Exhibition is about, which is from the Maunakea Education Awareness. Mahalo, Oren.
What is a pillar? A pillar is a mountain. What is a pillar? A pillar is an altar. What is a pillar? A pillar is a rock. What is a pillar? A pillar is a kanaka. Kako no. All of us. Aloha kako. Welcome to Kūkulu, a tribute to the Pillars of Mauna a Wakea. This is the 14th exhibit since 2018, each one featuring photographs and artwork of the Maunakea movement as the piko, the center, the sealant, the beacon, and the unifier of our āina in this time, and then expanding to highlight the people, places, issues, and movements within each exhibit's location. Maunakea Education and Awareness extends a sincere mahalo to the Wai anae community members, Nakia'i, Nakukulu, the protectors and pillars, and to Leeward Community College for accepting the invitation to host this display entitled Pūlama ya Wai anae, a photographic collection of Wai anae's history and ongoing efforts to protect and steward the Wai anae Moku. May this exhibit and the accompanying presentations, as well as the present exhibits on Hawaii Island, in California, and in New York, serve to encourage, inspire, and activate our people to rise up, speak up, and stand up always for Maunakea and all sacred, storied, and special places in and beyond Hawaii. E nā kūkulu, aloha āina, e hu e, hu.
So Antipua set the stage for us as to understanding the organization of this evening's program. It's a follow-up on the activities that took place up on the Mauna, and an opportunity for Wai anae to celebrate the kūkulu of our past. And tonight the focus really is on our pillars of today. And those are our guests today. And then later on in the program, we will feature the future pillars of the Moku, and they'll be telling their stories. So to get us started, a little bit about myself. My name is Lucy Gay, and I work here at the Wai anae Moku campus, and I was asked by Kapua to help her organize this program. Started out as just a very passive photo exhibit, but it didn't seem motivational enough, so we decided to organize a lecture series which would help us bring some life to the pictures that are on the walls here. So you are our live pictures for tonight. So with us, I have three guests, Kaukaohu, who's actually Ohana to me through your mama. And then another, she's not Ohana, but we are peers because we're both educators. And Ui is with Nanakuli High and Intermediate School. And Koni, you would be Malahini to me because I've met you a couple times, but I don't know yet the link between us. And these three will talk about the projects and the ways in which they have been leaders in our community in protecting and preserving and stewarding the āina. So what I'd like to do is, we only have one microphone, so we'll pass it around. And I want you to introduce yourself and tell us how you've helped people and give us one specific celebratory example of what you've done and people you've helped. And we'll start with Kaukaohu.
Hui hui mauka o āina, kahi vai ke po vai o kane vai, lo I ke alahele o ke ana I puka aku mai ke awala o puloa e. Holo I nana kuli ma ili ma kaha Mākua, lua lua le a hiki āina e. Ke mapune ke ala o ka mai le laoli, mai pane vai no e. Aloha mai, o kaukohu ahilani no puea mai au. No wau makeala nui kumai po e ku'ukou makua kane vela ahilani no laila e ku'ukou makua hine pikake o ahilani. Aloha mai kako, I am kaukohu ahilani. I hail from Pu'ea. That's the original name for Wai anae Valley. I'm also alakai for Hui Kulike Kako, and I've been activated to kia'i, to stand up for anything that would protect our āina, our resources, our history, our culture, our language, and yes, hewa vaiau, maua mau.
Okay. Ku ha'a heo palikea I ka la'i ana I ka maluo hele a ka la. Lu'u I ka nalu'i, kai o ule hawa, I ka pumehana o nana kuli nei. Wāwalu aku ku'u leo aloha, e ka hea mai oi e o mai o e. Aloha kākou o wau o Uilani Piper. He kumo o lelo Hawaii au ma ke kula ki e o nana kuli. Kano nae noho au ma Wai anae I ke kahi manawa. Aloha mai, I am Uilani Piper. I am a teacher of Hawaiian language at Nanakuli High School. And I teach in Nanakuli, but I live in Wai anae. I come to serve my community as an educator, and I am also the founder and the director of Hanai Kaiaulu, that we work on carbon abatement projects in our community. Aloha nui kākou.
Aloha. Aloha mai kākou, Keone Ford. I am a Wai anae resident. I live and play in Lulu'ole. That is the moku that I love and care for. Some of the work that I do is transcends into the nonprofit realm, āina-based learning platforms. I worked with āina o Makaha for 8 years as their chairman of the board. I was a student at Makaha Elementary in the Keiki program in '92. I am currently chairman of the board for Ayala Voyaging Academy. But tonight I come and speak to you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and Kanaka Maoli, who is deeply concerned about climate resilience, stewardship, malama āina, and how all of that can cultivate into aloha āina for our future generations. So mahalo nui for having me tonight. Aloha.
So we'll spend this next couple minutes updating people on the projects you're currently involved in. And if you could help us understand what changes you hope to achieve as a result of the project that you select to describe for us tonight.
I'll start.
Okay.
Project I'm working on. Now, I'm going to start with cultural connection is addiction prevention. Cultural connection is suicide prevention. The way I get the students connected is by kuleana. Yeah, there's 3 terms I focus on: kokua, kuleana, and kaiaulu. And those are my pillars that I kūkulu in my classroom. Malama āina, hanai. Yeah, hanai is the same thing as malama, but I feel like it's a little bit more deeper meaning because hanai is to foster or nurture forever. Yeah, malama, we tend to think of that as, oh, we're gonna malama āina 1-2 hours, but hanai is to take on something and care for it for a long time, longevity of that. Kaiaulu is the name of our wind, and it's a circular motion kind of wind, giving symbolism between our food waste system, our food systems, that we're not focusing on the waste management, and that's what I do. Basically, it's just the Ahupua system, yeah, reciprocity. This is nothing new. Our ancestors did it for years and years. So what I work on is getting the students excited about cultural connection through tending to the āina. So we tend to the āina through climate change projects, which is one is food waste composting on school campuses, and we also focus on cardboard shredding. We shred we shred cardboard for farmers, giving them access to clean mulch. With the big infestation of CRB in our community, this is a way that farmers can access that. You asked earlier about one big thing that you're doing, and I'm very proud of my haumana. They won an award of $25,000 for their carbon abate. Yes, Paipaili Makako. And they decided to use those funds to purchase additional shredders for other West Side schools. So they'll come up here and they'll explain what they did with their funds. You know, I'm very, very proud of them because, you know, who can spend $25,000 on somebody else? Yeah, let alone this side of the āina. Like, I mean, this side of our Moku, not a lot of opportunities come towards our side. So when something comes up for me that can elevate my school and elevate my community and the students and the lahui, I jump. So kuleana is actually, that is an expectation of our kupuna. Yeah, it's not your grade, it's not your job, it's they're waiting for us, yeah, to be engaged and to act. So it is an expectation and we need to fulfill that. Did I answer the question? Which way here?
Oh, kia ora.
Oh,
I was inspired by that, in that the students are leading a carbon resilience platform through the cardboard. And I'm now I understand why you asked me to come, because this is a carbon conversation. And Kauko'ohu, I have been inspired by the work and being connected with land and āina and helping hands. Yahua āina, the friends of the land. And I really can appreciate what you said about Hanai to adopt. It just takes it so much further. So one of the projects that we've been leading, I've been working on the last year and a half, is for Native Hawaiian climate resilience, how that affects food and energy resilience, not only for our community, but statewide. So one of the projects that we took on legislatively, that's a great way for us to get our voice out and to make change, is to write our intentions. And by writing clear intentions, we can set the path forward and we can start to bend the curvature of the reality and start to change laws that start to impact us, so that we can hanai, yeah? And we can adopt those. So what we did was, last year in 2022, we wrote legislative action around carbon dioxide and the recovery of carbon dioxide to be utilized for our community to create critical process inputs that could change the landscape of cold chain logistics, storage, cleaning, aviation fuels, the expansion of modern agriculture, where we can do vertical farming. And all of that work, Governor Ige signed that into law last year in July, so we're so grateful that that legislation was led out of Wai anae, and it gave us the funding capacity to go and walk into what is CDR, our carbon dioxide removal practices. And so the last year and a half, our project was to acquire and purchase a biochar factory in Kauai High. We are very close to acquisition and signing the final pieces. Part of that project is a demonstration of resilience and robustness and our ability to make use of existing infrastructure. So in 2009, the U.S. Department of Energy, and with federal support, state support, in 2009 they constructed Millennium Carbon, which was a activated carbon plant that was used to make semiconductors. Over $65 million was invested into that facility. It was built in Kailapa in Kauai High, so it's on DHHL industrial lands. Kailapa has some of the most expensive water in the state, some of the most expensive electricity, and this plant went bankrupt twice because it was led by outside interests. The mainland came in and they built it for their intentions, not for our intentions. So about a year and a half ago, I negotiated the purchase of that plant for $3.5 million. So $65 million, and we negotiated that for our people. And all of my partners, my business partners that we work with, are all Kanaka Maoli, Kamehameha grads, and we spread from Wai anae to Waimanalo to Whitmore Village to Hilo and beyond. And so we've led this cause around carbon dioxide removal to make biochar, which goes hand in hand with your cardboard. Because when we have biochar, we have the ability to sequester carbon, we have the ability to store nutrients, water retention, we can elevate our farming outputs, we can offset our carbon inputs by getting fertilizers. So this has been a focal point for us, and I'm just so excited to hear this work, because now I know where the first jumbo sack of biochar can go to, and that's Nanakuli. And so that's just some of the work that we're doing. I work for the 8th graders, personally, me, in that I will always work for the 8th graders, because the work that I'm doing around innovation and technology, 5 years from when we're working on it now, there will be a job and a career pathway for them. So we continue to innovate around hydrogen, around clean energy, renewable sources, and that we can have a better place for not only our families, and our communities, but for the keiki that have yet to come. So mahalo nui.
How's about a round of applause for my colleagues over here? Yeah. And just so ha'aheo to know that, again, my fellow Kanaka Oiwi that are venturing into these kuleana. Like on my hoodie says, it's all our kuleana. And I'm just humbled and honored, to get ike from my sister Uilani and brother Keone. For me, I'm more of a grassroots kia'i. Auntie Lucian asked on what project. I was involved in many projects to uplift and to inspire our lahui, to inspire those Kanaka that's still disconnected. For me, we live in Wai anae Moku, where we have the most population of Kanaka Oiwi on the planet. But the disconnection is rampant and wide, and it's not their fault. I was once disconnected as well. Reclamation of Kanaka identity and the kuleana that comes behind that reclamation. So I've told this story many times. My first name is Eric. My middle name is Kaukohuokalani, and my last name is Wahilani. My mom taught the very first Hawaiian language and Hawaiian studies classes at UH Manoa from 1972 to 1982. And I remember at second grade, I asked my mom, I said, "Ma, I have a question." She goes, "Yeah, well, you teach Hawaiian language and Hawaiian studies at UH Manoa." She wasn't prejudiced. She just was anti-Haole. And my first name is Eric, but the rest of my inoa is Kanaka. And she told me, "Well, I like Eric the Red." And I was like, "Ma, he's a freaking Viking. And he ilikea, But the irony for me was at second grade, I knew exactly who Eric the Red was. I had no clue of who was my heroes, who was Charles and Emma Navahi, who was Manono, who was Kaui Keoli, who was Timoteo Ha'alilio. So for me, when I had that moment of awakening, of reawakening and emancipating myself from the matrix mentally, Eric was a nice guy. He knew me as Eric. But however, reclamation of Kanaka identity. So Eric had a very long season. So when I had that moment, my mom and my oldest brother, they both passed. They always used to call me by my middle name, especially when I was in trouble. So when I had that moment, Kaukohuokalani, the reclamation of Kanaka identity and the kuleana that comes behind. And for me as a Kane, to see, I hope I can, in my videos that I do, or I don't do as much anymore, but I always say that, don't believe what I say, but hear what I'm saying, and do your due diligence, do your research on multiple sources, so that you can come up with your anao and your ike, and then what you're going to do with the truth when the truth hits you on the head. So for me, I'm an activist. I'm an Aloha āina activist, just like these two here. I'm a frontliner. I was on Mauna Wakea in the recent, I was in Mauna Wakea in 2015, Kalailoa, back at Mauna Wakea 2019. Anywhere where there's frontline action, I am there. And I have inspirations that inspired me previous. One is I'm sitting in our audience right now, Uncle Poka Lainui. And I draw back on all my kupuna. And for me, coming with the reclamation of Kanaka identity and knowing who I am as a Kanaka Oiwi in this moment in time, I am forever, I'm blessed that I'm in this time so that we can help to make the change that would, that kukulu, that would build our people. Because why, as Kanaka Oiwi, why we got to suffer in our own ancestral lands? Why we on the bottom in every situation, socially, economically, right? You guys know the story. We see we get the most population of incarceration, diabetes, all those things. But seeing Keone and my tita Uilani with the works that they're doing only inspires me to be active, stand up. For me, like I said, there's many projects, and my tita Kapua is part of our Hui Kulike Kako, which means we all stand together, which was birthed out of, actually it was 2014 when DOI and the DOJ came. And then 2015 when Mauna Wakea happened. So we had been involved in many events that we have put on together collectively. But one that we still do today is Super Sustainable Sundays up Ka'ala. Yeah. Yesterday was our 338 Super Sustainable Sunday. We're up there every Sunday as much as we can. When COVID hit, it did a doozy on the world. Ahunui also shared laughter and hana and sweat in our lo'ia, as well as her dad, Mauna, who are byproducts of Uncle Poka. My tita Ui has been out there, and Keone has also shared the sweat equity in Hele Lukui Kalepo. And for me, there's no turning back after, I guess, the emancipation, and for me, that's why Eric he was a cool dude. He was a nice guy, but he had a very long season. Now it's the season until I go back to Po, and with my ancestors is Kauko Uhu Kalani, and the reclamation of Kanaka identity and a Kuleana. So I know exactly what I need to do to stand up, for whether it'll be at the Capitol, to go to ku'e against bills that are detrimental to the well-being of our lahui, or to also kako'o bills that will be a benefit. Whether it's that or be in the front line, and anything that can protect our Namea Hawaii, our way of life. And so the project that we're consistently doing is Super Sustainable Sundays, where we have people from all over the world that came. Before COVID, we had people from all over the world that came through social media. We share them the story of Haloa, of our elder sibling and the reclamation of Kanaka identity and the Kuleana. So, and I love Wai anae. I was born and raised in Nanakuli First Road, so I'm actually a Seahawk. Because in 77 we moved up to Wai anae Valley and graduate Wai anae, so Hawks, Sea Rider, Seahawk. But I'll be here until my last haul to kia'i and to inspire. And only way we can do inspiration is through action. So mahalo nui.
So you all are very inspirational, and I know along the way you've probably come across big challenges as you try to activate, motivate, organize, and move towards your vision. So can you share with us what lessons have you learned in that struggle? You can have a conversation among yourselves.
I just love the consistency of the connection of people and place, because there's divine intention. Mahalo Ke Akua brought us together here today to speak around this consciousness, and the fact that that big island, Aina Mauna Kea, has brought this influence of culture and place, brought it to Wai anae. And I would say that the struggles is don't quit, don't give up. And that failure has ultimately been the greatest teacher. That is the R&D department failure. Because through failure is the expansion of growth. And I tell my children this, and I even tell my workers this. You have to break down if you're going to break through. And usually at your greatest stress point, the wheels will completely fall off. And you will break down and you will re-examine. And in that re-examination, you will find that that's where the passion is. That is where influence is, the drivers that get you up in the morning. And then when you come together, you got a brand new pair of sneakers and you throw those wheels on and you're rolling. And so I just think that the more hardship that we go through, it ultimately creates these spaces of learning, expansion, and then the willingness to don't quit, don't give up. And so I would say that failing has probably been one of the greatest opportunities to present itself. And that in this community, I see a lot of winning happening. I see a lot of firsts. We're the first to do a lot of things here, and we do it quietly. And I still follow through on that. The greatest work is done quietly through action. And so sometimes they see the failure, but what they're not seeing is the quiet, the silent motivation, moving the mountain, moving the meter. And this community is so good at it. And I just love working with the 8th graders, the 9th graders. And I just have a saying, I tell this to my nuclear engineers. I have discussions daily with engineers, finance people from Manhattan. And I tell them, we have kids out here in our community, they can make a moped go 100 miles an hour. And if you give them a little bit of hope and a little bit of money and a little bit of motivation, and they can build you a hydrogen power plant. So, you know, this is the skills. We have them here. We have the resilience. We're a robust community. And so when they start to feel that passion and then the worthiness, could you imagine coming out of community college and walking into a position at $40 an hour that you love, that you enjoy, and that you don't need to be an engineer you don't have to have an engineering degree to be working side by side with an engineer, or to get involved in cryogenics or in power distribution or renewable power. So we have a lot to offer because of this community teaching us the lessons of failure and success.
Failure, complacent people, disconnected people. Yeah, when you have disconnected people, you have disconnected keiki. How do you reconnect those wires? Like if he came to my class, they would have been like, what? What is he talking about? Kumu? But the flexibility in being a teacher, you know, I was born and raised out here. I've been teaching for 24 years in the Department of Education, and I'm not going nowhere. You know, this is my community. This is where I belong. You just have to plug in the wires into where it needs to go. And so I kind of changed the narrative. You know, the narrative is cultural connection, again, giving them a sense of belonging, yeah? When I talk about my kuleana at school and in my community, you talk about the two people that's most important. Yeah, he ali'i ka āina, he kaua ke kanaka. Yeah, the land is chief and we are merely its servants. Yeah, we're just here to take care of malama. Hanai this āina, it's not ours, you know? So at first, we're gonna do carbon abatement. Carbon what? We're gonna do compost. I don't wanna touch worms. We're gonna take care of Papa Hanau Moku. Oya no. You know, they get that connection. How do we kakua pa'u, how do we put on a pa'u skirt on Papa Hanau Moku? We mulch her, we take care of her, we provide the food she needs, yeah? How do we take care of Wakea? We divert all the food and the land, the cardboard from the landfills, right? Greenhouse emissions, and that protects Wakea. When we protect him, he protects us from the sun's rays. So the symbolism between, like your work, I just twisted it around into what makes sense to Kanaka keiki, getting them culturally connected, then making that connection to like career pathways, and getting them interested in colleges and organizations that can help them look at careers in that sense. Every 3 minutes, there's someone moving off of our island into the continent. Yeah, so we're moving off, but they're moving here. Who's left to take care of our āina and our natural resources here? We need kanaka in there. So yeah, I just kind of play a different part and that's just because of the students that I work with and even the community, you know, and I'm excited to see where we're going and what we continue to do. And I'm gonna pass it over.
One of the other hats that I wear, I'm a pretty good organizer. When it comes to, thank you, brother. When it comes to organizing, getting the right people to see the mission, whether it's to, protect our resources, yeah. But everything has to start with a intention, coming from a place of pono. Through my years of activism, I've known that nothing can happen if your intentions doesn't start pono. And I've also learned that we have a template that our Nakupuna had set forth. And it's in our DNA as Kanako Iwi, as Kekio Kaina. We just got to rewire that connection and get reconnected, right? Part of reclamation. And to be inspired. Yeah, so when I hear my colleagues over here talking, I'm very inspired, because I cannot do what Keone does. I cannot do what Ui does, but we're all part of this big puzzle, to holomua lahui Hawaii, to holomua ko Hawaii pa'ina, and through all its aspects. And we come from great people. We just got to access that. And like I said, the template that was set by our kupuna, because of the disconnection, right? But being reconnected to this whole source of ike kupuna, yeah. And having spaces and places that you can go to access, right? For me, Ka'ala is my mauna. Up where Kala Farms, that's my pu'uhono, that's my refuge up there. And being up there every Sundays, and I struggle. I live not even maybe quarter mile away, and I struggle Sundays to get up there. But as soon as I step up there and I get on there, oh yeah, I know why I was here, but knowing that there are places. So yesterday, I work down at Kaka'ako at the Maui Storage Relief Site after the inferno that happened in Lahaina, Kihei, and Kula. So I was volunteering over there, and then I was fortunate to be hired as their forklift operator. And so we're building Mauna Loles over there. Tita Ui brought her students there twice. I was fortunate to go up to Lahaina twice. The first time was and we spent time with Kia Moku Kapu. He took me into the burn zone. The whole time I was in the burn zone with Kia Moku, he took me to Viola. He took me to Mokuola, Front Street. And the whole time I was there, Kamahavo. It was just so sad. I was sobbing the whole time. But for those that know me, like Ui and Tita Kapua, I am like a hopeless romantic, in the sense that I'll take whatever good I can grab from the worst situation. And for me in Lahaina, and seeing that firsthand, I was first of all I was humbled, and I was honored to see that. But it gave me inspiration to continue to show up down at Kaka'ako every day, and continue to stand up for our people, for our āina, for our natural resources, and for everything that is Hawaii. I know that's some big task, but that's also gives me inspiration because as Aloha āina, we never out of work. We never out of work, and however, we have a source to go to, like I was sharing. Our kupuna had set a foundation for us, a template. So like if we're getting heavy laden, if I'm getting a real kind of swear, but if I'm having a real bad day, okay, what my kupuna do? We go hi'uvai, yeah, or I go up to Ka'ala. Do my protocols, do my oli, my pule, and then I look up to the skies. I cry, I shout, I swear, and I lay my petition out. And then when I'm done, then I pa'akawaha, wehi ko pepe awa me ko maka, and it's received. Ke kaukohu, this is what's going to happen. This is what you should do. And then I leave there better than when I got there. So I'm excited for the next generation and seeing. So I'm so proud of Tita Ui and Keone and those that came before. Like I said, Uncle Poka, Auntie Lucy, my Tita Kapua, even my friend Oren Setsumi. He lives all the way in Hawaii Kai. He come out here. He's a frontliner too, and it just inspires me to keep going. So I hope that was good, Auntie Lucy.
You speak from the heart, Kauko'ohu. That's what motivates people. When it comes from the heart, you want to hit the heart, not only the head. Yeah, so that's good. So what I see among you is that you have inspired students. You had a vision of what you thought needed to be done. It might have been your private thought, but then you were able to bring along younger ones, students, to come along and get us excited, just as excited as you were. And the same happened for your generation and my generation. It's always on top of somebody else's shoulder. It's never something we did uniquely for the first time ever on planet Earth. That's one thing that I recognize about the work you've done. And the things that have challenged you will continue to challenge us. Failure. Nobody's going to be perfect and approach their trajectory without a slip or fall. But it's how you get up and what you do when you get up. Yeah. That's where the lesson is. So we're going to, and you set a really good stage here at Kauko'ohu because you're laying it for the next panel, which is our young people. And where are they going to take us? Another common theme that I saw among all of three of you is this deep love for the earth. You have the earth always on your mind. And that's a good thing, because otherwise we'd be floating all over in space. So we need to keep earth in mind. And our kupuna knew that. We now learned that, and we know that. Okay. But as you said, Ui, they're leaving the island, our people. So who coming in? Do they have earth in mind? And a more pressing need that I see coming up in the community is the return of Mākua. It's lots of acreages there. It has a long cultural background to the Hawaiian people, and in terms of not only its name but its place in the legends of Hi'iaka, and that's coming up soon. So how do you perceive the land? How are you teaching your children, your students, to view that land in a way that it's an opportunity for the community to restore it? As I've heard that word repeated several times tonight. So that sets the stage for me to ask the young people, where are they on that issue? And I want to thank you all. I think we've used our time, Kapua. I want to thank you all for, I've been educated. I didn't realize the level at which you're talking to these kids. for only eighth graders, you know. They're almost like at graduate school, going into professional engineering and, you know, those kind of occupations that bring skills to our people in ways that were probably not as available to us. But we need the skills in the community just as we need the leaders in the community who have vision and have people like your friends who have the resources, your funders who have the resources that continue to motivate and incentivize people to stay engaged. So thank you all for tonight's sharing with us, and we'll move on to the next panel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, advocates.
I gotta get with you more often.
I'm good.
Yeah, it's always very short,
Yeah.
but I'm always inspired.
Like that. Hopefully this is good. Babe, we're gonna bring the second table, you know? You wanna just come on the table now with Ahupua? Okay, so
Just so we can angle
you
it a
don't
little
need
bit.
to speak all to the same one program.
Yeah, it could be different questions.
Yeah, so like, you're in college for,
Oh,
no, so we're gonna angle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, you're here.
Oh, Ethan, you made it. Okay, so Ethan, the only thing we need to bring up on is, this is the microphone. Okay, got it. And then you gotta hold it like you're holding an ice cream cone,
Okay, got it.
because otherwise it won't pick up. Okay.
Got it.
Anybody gotta go
Thank you.
back? They're right here. Fill up your water, it's right there. Well, you were in college, so you came from that program? So you don't-
Yes, I
Yes.
jump-started the project.
Oh, okay, okay, so you're part of the project?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
three of you is the project?
Yes.
Okay,
I think she inspired it in some way.
okay.
Yeah?
I
She
started
was the
it.
one who started it.
Second
Oh, she
generation,
started
didn't
it.
you guys?
Yes.
How's he set up, babe? Well,
This is straight in the mouth. Oh, that's good.
okay,
She wanted to do an angle, but okay.
yeah.
I'm scared.
So I'm gonna ask you guys to introduce yourself, your name, and I'm gonna ask you what project you're engaged in, so people have an idea why.
So this is a heads up, yeah. So not down here, kind of like up here.
Make sure this little guy is up, otherwise you're talking to the okole. Okay, so this is the capstone lecture. This is the one I've been looking forward to since September. Because tonight on our panel, we have young people who are actually taking leadership in vital areas of concern in our Wai anae Moku. And they'll have a chance to describe what they're doing and to share with us the theme of this panel is shaping visions, creating futures. So what they are going to share with us is going to give us a preview of what life's going to be like for those of you who live beyond my years. Yeah. So that's the exciting thing. So what I want you to do tonight is, first of all, introduce yourself, your name, and speak briefly about the project that you're currently involved in and what you hope to achieve as a result of that. And you can have conversations among yourselves if you wish, but we only have one mic, so we have to be sure.
My name is Ifit Happy Cruz. I'm from Wai anae, Makaha, and I'm currently at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, University of Hewa at Manoa, a freshman. I'm currently the secretary and head of curriculum for the Well-Read registered independent organization there. It's we put the ea in red. We are trying to get like-minded youth really grounded in this framework and system of analysis that'll really sharpen their ability to articulate what they want to change in the world, and then it'll hopefully provide them and us, myself included as a member of this organization, a sort of like the path to get there. And I'm also an intern with Hawaii Peace and Justice, which is a demilitarist organization. Not everything that I express here tonight will be representing those folk. In fact, it doesn't represent any of the institutions that I'm a part of. These are all my own thoughts. Thank you. And yeah.
Aloha mai kākou o ahonui ko inoa mai makaha mai au. Aloha, my name's Ahonui, and currently I am at Kawaihona Okana Awau Public Charter School. I am in 8th grade currently. So we're not working on a lot of projects per se, but I am currently in student council. We work on making community cultural events for little kids to the upper adults. We teach makahiki, la kuako'a, and we also make sure to teach an abundance of Hawaiian stories, Hawaiian history, and we try to include every age possible. Our goal for the school is to make a community that is not just based on pure Kanaka Maoli, but including everybody living in Hawaii that has the same ideals as well as characteristics of people who should live here and who do live here. Our neighbors, the people you see at the store, everybody, we want them to know and be included in our community. So what we're mainly working on is building a strong community bond, as well as educating about annexation in very age-appropriate ways. Mahalo.
Aloha mai kākou o J Ko'uinoa. I'm a first-year college student here at Leeward Community College, Wai anae Moku. The project that I'm a part of is Scrappa's Union. I started this project back in high school, probably my sophomore year, if not my junior year. My goal with this project was to make a more sustainable environment in planting instead of using fertilizer and chemicals and ruining our soil. I'm gonna let these two introduce themselves. These are students who continued my project after I graduated, and they're making me very proud with where they've taken this project. I'm alumni of Nanakuli High School, so Hawks baby. But yeah.
Aloha, o kanoelani, vai ko'ino. No Nanakuli Maiau. Hi, my name is Kanoelani Torres. I'm a sophomore at Nanakuli. Like she said, we are a continuation off of the project that she started in Scrappers Union. But I'd like to say that I'm very glad that I did join and I did accept Kumu's offer when she gave us the chance, even though it was such a late heads up. I'm glad that I really got to be a part of it and learn a lot about our sustainability. I'd like to say for the future generation, be aware of what's the little things in front of you and don't take it for granted. Learning a lot about our sustainability is gonna help a lot with things that's going on with the generation now. Also, I'd like to say that I'm very thankful for JC starting the Scrappers Union, because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be where we are right now. But yes, thank you.
Aloha mai kākou o Jeremiah Oko Uinoa no Nanakuli Maiau. Hello everybody, my name is Jeremiah. I live in Nanakuli. I am a sophomore at Nanakuli High School. Yes. This program that I joined, my goal for this is to just make everything the right way. You know, like all these chemicals, all these bad things going into our environment is really messing with our way of living. Like greenhouse gases, all of the microplastics in the ocean, it's all affecting us. So our goal in Scrappers Union and Hanai Kaiaulu is to make everything the right way and for us to live in the right path, so we have a good future for our Moku, ourselves and our future. So our goal is just to make the right decisions and live a better life and to take care of our āina.
So some of you were early joiners, some of you might have been reluctant joiners, and some of you haven't figured out that you are already leading Ahunui. So I want you to talk about what were some of the ways that you had to overcome. You know, young people sometimes they don't get really involved, yeah? They wait for somebody else to do it. So talk about what was it that actually kicked you behind to get involved?
Can I pass it?
Yeah.
For now.
So I think personally, what has got me very into this movement and learning and immersing myself so much in my culture would probably be, to start, my grandparent or papa, Poka Lainui. He's always had a very adamant outlook and a very strong, headstrong way to plunge himself into it. Watching them, learning them, seeing them interact with other people kind of just had me thinking about it. And slowly, as I grew up, they taught me more. And I think my biggest problem trying to get myself into more cultural activities was more so the fear of speaking up on it. But what I found out is there is, like Muhammad, God, oh my God, I can't say his name. Like Gandhi has said, there is no, if you want to see a change, you must become the change. And that is so true in so many ways. Because starting with student council, that's the only thing I have right now, I'm so sorry. Most of the changes that's been made, most of these new ideas and things that we're starting implementing came to by people speaking up and saying, hey, I think this would be a good idea. Like, we have now started instigating more learning on fishing and cultural preservation, which is amazing.
So this was a very difficult project to get started. Some challenges I faced getting through this project was my team and I. We were made up of 3 of us, and we didn't really know what to do first. So with the help of like Kumu Piper and some of our mentors, we got a budget together and we started applying for a bunch of grants. And the first grant that we had applied for to get this project started was the Hawaii Sustainability Challenge. And we were able to get, I think, $1,000. And with that, it kind of gave us a start to where we wanted our project to go. So we bought our first shredder with that project, with that grant. And the challenge I would say after that would be the time. You have to put a lot of time and effort into getting the project known and informing our mentors and our peers that, you know, there's this problem going on and we need to fix it. Here's the solution we came up with, you know? So I think that was the most difficult part of the project, was getting other people in on it and like making connections outside of school. So our first connections we made was with Āina o Mokaha, and we connected with them, giving our product to them for their produce, and it was like a trade-off. But I'm kind of glad we got that started, because it made life like a little easier after that. It was kind of slow going.
Well, if I'm being honest, I really had no choice to be a part of the Scrappers Union. There was this one day, it was during school hours, and I had Kumu Piper for my 7th period, and she also had the 2 other girls that was a part of that's also a part of the Scrappers Union, the previous periods before me. So that day, she asked me and the 2 other girls to stay after school to help us with the Keiki contest video that we won the $25,000 for. It was kind of all of a scram. We had to kind of put things together that we didn't really learn about, because it was all in that time crunch that we had. But it all came together. We all said our prayers and did what we had to do. We understood the assignment that we had to take care of. And all in all, I'm glad that I took the opportunity to be a part of that video and make a big impact in not only our school, but for our community as well.
What interests, well, my story is kind of similar to her, because me and her had the same 7th period, and me and her was always together, and me and her is best friends. So it's like I volunteered. We had an assignment for Kumu Piper's class. I volunteered and I did my assignment, and then I started thinking, like, there's a lot of things that we could do with this. We could improve with this product right here. And then she helped me out a lot. She was the one that encouraged me. Kumu Piper encouraged me a lot. And the more that I just stuck to it, I grew more onto it. And the more pride I had into that, this organization, this project, the more pride it grew over the months and the years. So what really kicked my butt is just the people around me helping me and encouraging me, and then the way that I look at it and how it's gonna help with our future.
I think it's hard to talk about this because what I want to address, what is so like clear to me that is the issue, is just these really large systems that are really violent. And you see that violence in so many different forms, so many different places and manifestations. It's hard to put a finger on like where exactly the thing that really motivated me to get more involved in this kind of stuff is. I think like recently something that stuck out to me is the fact that there's white phosphorus in Mākua, yes? Yep. Israel has deployed white phosphorus, you know, in Gaza, in Palestine, against civilians. And then you look at like Agent Orange. Agent Orange was developed through the University of Hawaii. You know, there are all of these like histories that are really well suppressed, that if more people understood, and understood more importantly the what that means for all of us, there would be a lot more unrest, and it would be a lot harder to keep people in line with the dominant system, the dominant mode of thinking. 100 corporations are, you know, contributing to 73% of global warming. I work for Oahu Army Natural Resource Program, which was like created because of the success of Mālama Mākua and other organizations like it, in holding the Army accountable. One of the, and this is a really funny story, one of the success stories of this program is the Cyanea superbas, the haha, the ohawai. Really a beautiful plant that they brought back through management in Mākua, you know, to sort of, you know, being a species that we can kind of say like, oh, it's doing all right, it's doing all right, it's on the comeback. Because of the state of the world, the rising temperatures, the increasingly just terrible droughts, this species, I mean this genus, the Cyaneas, they are really having a hard time adapting. A lot of them are dying. A lot of the population units that we manage are dying. And you think about the fact that, oh hey, awesome, the Army is doing this, they're doing this conservation work, but also as the largest consumer of greenhouse gases in the world, the largest single entity that is like consuming greenhouse gases in the world, they are doing like 10 times, I mean not even 10 times, like the damage that they create is so much worse and so much more systematic and systemic than the supposed good that they're doing. And I think, and I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling, but this is where that the idea that like you can't just be cultural and you can't just focus on your moku really hit me hard. And that's something that I continue to grapple with, because how do you bring this understanding of the world into the actions that you're doing? How do you get people to understand that, awesome, it's good to, you know, have a lo'i, it's good to think about Hawaii as like a struggle for independence, but we also have to think about the world and the world's struggle for independence and how our struggles are, you know, just intimately linked everywhere. And so I think if I had to put my finger on it, it was Modern History of Hawaii was a pretty good class, participation in democracy, and books. Just keep an open mind and read.
And I'm sure your mother had a big part in taking you out to a number of events as a young child. And that's the theme I saw among some of you, that the adults, the significant adults in your early life, had a big part in imprinting in you the deeper understanding of what's going on, not just the surface things. And on the earlier panel, we talked about learning from failure. On this panel, the young people are saying we're learning from winning. So that's a little bit more upbeat, I think, at this point. But don't forget, there are lessons to be learned even when we lose. And when we win, there are lessons on how to win better, faster, bigger. Yeah, always have lessons. So we've talked about how you got involved. And along the way, you've mentioned some of the people who have been inspiring to you and brought you along. And some of them were just your classmates. That was interesting, because I always think that it's an adult, that does it, or kupuna. But even your own brother or sister could do it, for you. Your mother did it for you back then. So as we move along, I know you've seen these models of yours experience sometimes some setbacks. So as you move forward as Kūkulu, you may encounter setbacks too. Tell me what lessons you learned from your mentors that will help you, when you meet your challenges, turn those challenges around so that they're not challenges. They're actually incentives for you. Tell me how you intend to do that.
Okay. There's a lot of lessons to be learned from my starting off the project. A big lesson I learned is patience. I wasn't a very patient person back then, but going through the whole applying for grants and finding the money to help fund my project and finding the people to connect to continue to make my project grow, it took a lot of work. I had to be patient with time because not everything happens overnight, and I had to learn that the hard way. I use that now in my everyday life because, going to college and working, just having a new life after being a child, entering adulthood, you get all these new responsibilities, and sometimes it takes time for you to learn how to situate yourself. So I have to be patient with myself, knowing I have a busy schedule. So I try to plan things accordingly, and if it doesn't happen, I have to learn to, let it go and work on something new. I think the challenge that helped me with that was the budgeting part of my project. So coming up with a budget plan with what I was gonna do with the grants and the money, it was very stressful. Me and Kumu Piper, we spent a lot of time figuring out our budget. But yeah, that was like the part that taught me to be patient more and understand that not everything happens the way you want it to. And that was a big lesson for me. And I really appreciate learning that lesson, because without that lesson, I think I'd be rushing my life and it'd just go crashing. So very glad I learned that early on.
The biggest lesson that I've learned was to never wait around, especially knowing when you have such a big project to do. Always make sure that you have your plans set way ahead of time, so that way you're not rushing to get things done last minute, or just in case, because you don't want to do something last minute and then you miss something that was probably the most important thing that you needed in order to succeed the project that you're trying to achieve. That was the biggest lesson that I've learned from my kumu, my mentor, because the day that we had to do the video was the day that it had to be submitted. And we only knew about it that day, so we only had so much time to make sure that we had all the important information that was needed. All the clips was good. Make sure that that we followed the specific directions, because little things like that can always throw off the bigger picture. So you always want to make sure that you plan out what you want to achieve, and maybe if things don't go as your plan, at least you can say you tried. But yeah, that was my biggest lesson.
A big lesson that I learned was no matter how hard or how difficult or how much time consuming something is, to never give up. Never give up. Always try to see the end of it. Because I look at it as, if you don't walk the road, you'll never know the mysteries behind it or on the end of it. So just to never give up, because you'll never know what is in front of you, you only know what is in back of you. For other people, they would want, something gets hard for them, they just, I don't like doing them anymore. So, but for me, it's like I always want to see what's forward for me. I want to see what I can do for my future. I want to see what I can do. I want to see my limits, and I want to meet my goals. I want to set goals, and I want to meet it. I'm not going to be that one person, this is too much for me, I cannot do this anymore, I don't think I can, da-da-da-da-da. No, I'm that type of person for keep on with what I'm doing. I put my foot down and I tell myself keep going, because you're not gonna know what could happen if you're not gonna be the one to do it. You never know, if you're not the one to do it, who else will? So I will always stay to put my feet down and never give up. That's just my thinking and my lesson that I've learned. And I know that there's a lot, way more lessons in my lifetime that I need to learn, because I'm only so young. We are all only so young yet. We have many more lessons and many more visuals for us to see and achieve. We have a lot of goals for ourselves to achieve, and I want us to achieve it. I want us to meet our goals. I want us to move forward.
From the many, many lessons I've learned from my parental figures in my life, I think two of the best would be mindset. From my dad, he's taught me that there's a bunch of adversity everywhere you look, and that changing minds doesn't have to be a fight. You don't have to yell. You don't have to be super loud about it. You can talk softly and try to communicate with people. If they don't see your point, that's completely fine. You don't need to force opinions. You need to try and talk. You need to try explain yourself, and hopefully they can kind of take something away from that as well. So I've learned you don't need to push so hard that you break. Second big lesson I've learned is from my papa. Mindset was a big thing that I've learned from him as well. And this type of mindset is based on the idea that that you should always ask questions. You should always dig deeper into things, and you should see every point of any situation. We could take the worst situation in the world, and we could see it from different viewpoints. We could try to justify it. Justify from here, justify from there. Why not? Play around with it. You learn so much from doing just that, and you have fun with it. That's one of the best things that I do with my papa, in my opinion. We have little debates. I lose. But so far. But there's still, it's just the learning we have, the understanding we have, and the fact that we can share ideas freely. Controversial, yes, but we have fun. And that is one of my biggest lessons. To sum it up, it is that you cannot always be right. And there's so many sides to see, so many ways to explain it, and you will continue learning no matter what you go through. Thank you.
I think it's, everyone sort of spoke to this, you know, don't be patient, but never be idle. The way that I sort of look at it is like, we shouldn't vilify fire. You know, whenever we're talking about like change or transformation, fire is a big thing. Fire is a powerful symbol for that. And the adage is always, oh, you know, you can't fight fire with fire, except indigenous people did. Controlled burns were a very effective way to stop, you know, larger, more destructive fires. It's the management of the fire. We need to tend to ourselves as youth who have a vision, because having a vision of pono always puts you at odds with the will of the state and the will of capital, the will of money, the will of the ability to produce more money and gross amounts of money. When we hold on to that need for pono, when we hold on to that principle, we need to be strategic with the ways that we engage the systems which are not pono, which are hewa. And we need to be strategic with the ways that we engage with ourselves. And this is something that I'm constantly learning, constantly holding myself accountable for, because I wanna hit the ground running. I'm ready to burn, but that's when you encounter, like, you know, despondence and just burning out. And I don't believe that we as young people should be saying, oh, I'm burnt out, I don't want to engage already, I don't want to engage. Don't do that, dude. Like, come on. There are people who have been in this work for, like, you know, I mean, there are people who have been in this work in this room right now that, yeah, it's amazing. It's indomitable. The spirit of resistance and the need for pono is indomitable. But we need to figure out how to do that strategically, how to cultivate that strategically. And that's something that I am working on building within myself.
So the dimension I hear you all struggling with, or not struggling, but have confronted, is the issue of time and timing, how to structure that time. And as you were saying, Ethan, comes down to managing, because the goals, the things that you're looking forward to, is not going to be easily solved. It's complex. Some of you mentioned how it's tied into other things. It's not just your one project. Who was talking about global? Someone was up here talking about giving that notion that it's a global thing. So there's a real need to be strategic, as you said, so that you can actually bring about the change that you're hoping for. The other thing, when you mentioned those in the room who have been in the trenches, I think that's quite discerning of you to notice that they've been in the trenches for a while, and the changes might not have been the complete change that was being looked for. And it may happen to your generation that you may have this dream and you may not be able to actually achieve it. So the next generation, so it's incremental, and maybe one day they'll get there. But on the shoulder of just one generation, you may get burned out and, you know, give up. Like you say, don't give up. But it may be so overwhelming that that's the only option that may confront you, and that would be tragic for all the work that was done before. Yeah. So I get the sense that you people, you young ones, you have a vision of what Wai anae, and maybe even beyond. You talked about not being just being exclusive, but involving the whole world. So do you, Ethan. So what's your vision on two levels? One for where you are, where you live, your place you call home, and your vision for the rest of the world outside on the other side of the box. That's one. Your vision and how you're going to shape it so you get there.
I live right next to Kamaile. There was once a very, very prosperous spring over there, Ke Ko'o, a freshwater spring that was so abundant that it supported a freshwater fish pond and a complex of lo'i, each individual lo'i having a name. My dream is to see that sort of management, the ability of Wai anae to produce like that again, to produce for itself. And that's, connected to the entire world. The ability of the people to produce for themselves, and not the people in that, fancy, beloved by the Americans, that idea of the democracy, but the real, the people, the masses, every individual person, whether or not they're able to vote, whether, just regardless of their status, the people. I'm really working on how I'm going to shape that. Getting involved in, the Super Sustainable Sundays at Ka'ala Farms is a really awesome opportunity. Getting other students involved in that kind of work, getting people to understand the significance of that work as not just a cultural and physical act, but a political one. Really, it's a question of building network and building power, and building power to produce food. Because that's all we want to do, to produce food and poetry.
So I live in Makaha, but I've moved around a lot. I've seen a lot of the coasts, and I've been very wide stream of places. My dream for Hawaii is, it's beyond me, I will say. I can state that. I know that it's going to take a while, but I want to see Hawaii have its sovereignty back. And Hawaii is so small. It's a tiny dot on the map. So if we're taking this from a big point of view, I'm not saying that it's not needed and there won't be a fight put up for it, but if you look at the Constitution, the first words, we the people. That's why so much of what I speak about is the adversity of talking to others, trying to make a new community stronger together. It's not just the Kanaka Maoli that we identify ourselves as right now. We have to spread this to other people and help them understand that it's better for Hawaii people, us who live here, who see the changes that needs to be made, run Hawaii than Congress 5,000 miles away. And if everybody on Hawaii, or at least the majority, agrees on this, I'm sure that we should, by the Constitution, be able to get sovereignty back. A big thing that is mentioned is the food. So most of the land, agricultural use and military use, is not used for any actual farming. Kalo, our crop, 99% imported. So to start shaping this, I feel like a good policy that should and could be made is any land, leased or not, that is unused and has been unkept shall be used and can be used by farmers to plant and grow some food. By that, we can start getting our own ecosystem and just system in general started. We can start showing that we are independent instead of codependent. And if you just look at what Hawaii would be like without all of this colonization and being ran by somebody 5,000 miles away, it's so much better. There's less, we could go back to being an economical state. There's a certain river, I forget what it's called. Normally the water would refill and it's forever lasting. There's always water that can be used. But since there's so much diversion and forest farming and they don't use the streams correctly, it's starting to run out. That's impossible, right? We have the correct climate, we have the correct plants. We should have everything needed for this to run by itself like it used to in the past. But due to people deciding, diverting the water source and changing it, they have altered what should be kept. So that is my personal goal for just Hawaii in general. If we're talking globally, I would say a big thing that shall be addressed is the fact that, actually, I think a big problem is the military. Because they waste so much money. They get like 40 billion, just our military from Hawaii, they get $40 billion, and they end up wasting the money. They pay for cups, so imagine this was a cup, normally $5. They decide to put a little logo this big that would make probably $2. They want to pay $42 for said cup. Why? I have no idea. And then they complain, we have no money. Oh, that sucks. A big problem is just based on the military. We have a big enough military. It's too big. It's hurting the people. The military is supposed to be for the people. So I feel like a big part is not defund the military, but lower it to less. Just having a huge military is just more violence that shall come, and it's a huge threat to everybody. That's just my personal goal.
High five. I'm gonna kind of add on to what you're saying there. I feel like a lot of our land was taken from the military, and my goal for Hawaii is for us to get our land back, to do our farming, to do our cultural practices. Like she said, our economics are going down because we need to import our food and our sources and our produce. We don't have a lot of farms to provide that on this island, and even if we did, would it be enough? You know, there's so much things we could do if we got our land back from the military. Not saying to kick out the military or defund them, but the land that they have taken from us should be returned to us. Mākua, for instance, if that area was to be cleaned up a lot, what is that word for it? A lot quicker, I would say. We could do so much farming in that area. We could find the water for that area. Board of Water Supply has been diverting our water from the west side to the north side. Like, where is it? Ka'ala. We could be using all that water and all that resource to provide more farming and bigger lo'is to provide produce for our people, instead of importing it from China and the States and having to pay all the taxes on that. The global perspective of it, I think, would have to be that the state needs to recognize Hawaii as its own. We could strive with our independence. We depend too much on the state to give us what we need when we can do it right here in Hawaii. You know, they're farming up in the state, and all they're doing is sending the product to us. We could be doing that here. We can be farming, and we can just farm to table. That's all we need. But I like that you brought up the military. That's very Akamai. I just think, yeah, the military and the state has a lot to do and a lot to work on. Like, we're just a bunch of kids, you know, that have this idea and have this this ike that we want to share with everybody. Like, it's affecting our kids. Like, the state and their decisions are affecting our upcoming keiki. That says a lot. She's, what grade? 8th grade? Yeah. She's 8th grade, and she knows all of this stuff. Like, that's super impressive. Yeah, just like sharing the knowledge that you know in your school and your community, like, I think you can go a lot further with that. Yeah, like, just hearing that just made me super proud that our keiki are actually being educated about the issues, and we're not just, you know, throwing it to the side and forgetting about it, and we're just like, oh, it's the state's problem, you know? We're actually teaching, educating our kids, and they know, like, oh, we should come up with solutions. Like you said, like, giving back the island what they had, and providing our own resources and not depending on anybody else. I really like that. I agree with that.
Okay, for me, I live in Anakuli. And we have a local stream coming down our Moku called Honini Vai. But everybody that I've I've heard, I asked about it. They know it from Stink Pond. Stink Pond, but its original name is Honini Vai. And Honini Vai is basically to pour or to spill or to overflow with water. But now it's being polluted, it's being all trash, it's being held up, it's not flowing anymore. So whenever I hear somebody say, oh, you know the stink pond over there, I say, it's not stink pond, it's Honini Vai. I get all ooh, oh my gosh. But yeah, that's one thing with my community, and how I would shape it is more youth voices to be heard, because everybody's voice deserves to be heard, and everything, everybody's opinion deserves to be listened to. Like, oh, me this past summer, I just came from a Native Youth Congress in West Virginia. Our school raised up, and then we went on a trip this summer to West Virginia Native Youth Congress Adaptation Center. And then we had this whole Congress meeting about climate change, what is national climate change. All of us, all youth from around the nation, all Native tribes, people from American Samoa, from people to Hawaii, from people in Native American tribes came, and their voices were heard. And I think that's a very big improvement on how I would shape it into the future of more youth people being heard, because not a lot of people may think of it, but youth have a lot of knowledge. They have knowledge that they don't want to express, but then when our voices are being heard, it somehow helps with the changes that are going to become in this world. It's like something as simple as us telling people it's not called stink pond, it's called Honini Vai, or something saying that's not right, this needs to happen, or this is my opinion. That would be helpful in a lot of ways in the future if everybody's opinion was heard. Not only the adults, the state administration or the capital, only them making decision. Even like, it would be better for our community to be heard. All the time we're having all kind protests, and like all of us, when something is going wrong, nobody's listening. All of our voices are they're not being heard. So it would be helpful if more youth and more children and more young people would be heard.
So some of the notes I took down here is that about the food. You're looking forward to a time when what we plant is what we eat. Yeah. So I plant, I eat my food. Filipinos know how to do that, by the way. We do it well. And then I remember that's the name I heard people referring to that pond. They called it Stink Pond. And I was so irritated by that name. So I did a little research, and there was a video done by Queen Lili'uokalani's Children's Center interviewing the kupuna about the name that they associated with that pond. And it was actually a mulivai. Yeah. And I don't know why the waves don't come in anymore to break up that sand, but that's another story for another issue about the changes in climate and the global situation of the way in which we've ruined this earth. So I heard that part. And then the other one was about kind of war, the militarization. I don't know if you folks noticed, but behind you is a really huge map that shows the lands that are in our Moku that are actually under military control. And it's not just the red marks, it's the red marks of the type of land that they have control over. It's the biggest valley, on the island, shaped like a bowl, and they've got that. And then they've got Mākua, and you can see all the red ones all over there. How much of that land they make. Yeah. So when you talk about militarization, it's right in our backyard. And I think part of talking about their budget, I think part of it is trying to understand at what point our country went from the idea of a citizen soldier to a career soldier. So if you're in the career of war, making war, why would you want to see war reduced? You're going to just work yourself out of a job. So there's an incentive there that you guys can explore in your generation as to how to get us back and out of that thought of being a career soldier. Yeah. And the emphasis on farming our food. You know, I remember there was a time when my generation, my parents said, grow up, go to school, don't be like us. So I don't know if farmer kids were also hearing the same kind of, mantra, go be better than us. So one of the problems that I've seen within the agriculture industry has been the people who go to work for the farms are the Filipinos, the Vietnamese. It's not our local people. So there's a change that has to go along with this notion of food sustainability, food security, and I think Ma'o's got the answer. Yeah. What else did I hear you guys talking about? Yeah, so we want the military to reduce its consumption of the resources. Yeah. So if you young people are all about wanting more peace in the world, so we can eat our food and not run for shelter, how come there's so much war?
Because war is about dominance and controlling. That's in the Western mindset. That's what it is. It's how can I overcome this person? How can I take over? Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so what I was saying was the Western mindset is not how do I help, how do I become part, how I'm symbiosis, yeah. It's how do I overcome this person, how do I take them over, how do I take control, yeah. If we even go back to a long time ago when the Indians were here, all of their treaties weren't, hey, it's okay, let's be at peace, let's not do this. The Americans either had to take something from the Indians or there was no peace and they would just burn down everything that they had. So the whole reason there's war is because it's a battle to control and basically who can get more, which is weird because after a certain extent you would think that, hey, this is enough, I can survive, my family can survive, this is sustainable, this is more than sustainable. But there's a certain new thing where it's greed and it's all about money. So it's weird. That is my take on why I think there's so much more war and violence happening. And then there's also, for the new gen, there's this mindset of trying to be more gangster. I'm not lying. All of the music is based on that. It's violent for some reason. They want to encourage violence, shooting people up, which in its own, sure, it sounds good, sure, it can be romanticized in so many ways, but when you take a step back from it, you're still talking about murdering somebody's son, daughter, uncle, yada, yada, yada. So it's just the overall, yeah, music, feds, yeah, whatever way to put it.
Disconnecting the people,
Mm-hmm,
I feel like.
Yeah, and then people lose their culture, they lose their roots, yes, and they're like, let's find a way that I can fill this in somewhere, and the way they choose to fill it in is incorrect. You want to say something?
Sure. Can I ask a follow-up?
Sorry.
So as young people up here, what are you doing to prepare yourself and your fellow students for the rapid changes that you're anticipating to bring about through your leadership?
So a few things that I've been implicating is I've been searching, I haven't found anything perfect yet, but I've been searching for more rap music that is educational. Like I found this one video, I forget the guy, but he talks about the Congress, the legislative, he informs, the beat is good, the music is good, the lyrics are perfect, and he's in, exactly, the meaning behind it is amazing. He's teaching about things that most people don't know and that could benefit the community. So for an uprising thing that I've learned, I've started trying to tell more people about alternative music to listen to, because music controls the mind. That's what it is. What you listen to, you embody. Podcasts, you listen to ideas and you start thinking those ideas. What you're surrounded with, you become. That's what changes.
Exactly. Good job. I know. You're very akamai.
Thank you. I thank my grandparents for that. And one of the last, maybe not last, but one of the other things I'm trying to change is the mindset that everything you do is, I did that. So, So we've been having open mics sometimes at our school, and one of the big topics that I try to encourage my students and peers to try and say is giving thanks to their parents and the environment that they've been set in, the school that they've got into, the work that they've had to put in, because pride alone will never carry you. That is how I've worked to change it.
Couldn't have said it any better, but I think educating our kids about the effects their environment can have on them. Surrounding yourself with the right people, is a big issue nowadays. There has been a lot of violence in our community in the past few months, and I feel like it's all about their mindset. Like you said, it's all about take over and be better. Instead of working together to create a better community, you're trying to create a better you, But educating the keiki that, this is a community, this is a lahui thing. It's not just you're not on your own. We have to work together as a lahui to fix these problems, because if we continue to focus on ourselves and put ourselves before our lahui, how are we going to get anything done? Everything is going to be me. I want to do this. I want to get this. This is mine. But what about everybody else? So I feel like educating them that it's a lahui thing and not a them thing would open up their minds to we can fix this problem in their community. We're all against the same people. We're not against each other. So like you were saying, the disconnect in the people is a big thing that we need to focus on, because with that disconnect, the adversity between people, it's always, you think you're against that person, but in reality, if you take a step back, you look at the big picture, you guys are both against the same thing. It's just a way of how you take it to your heart and your mind. That's maybe I shouldn't be mad at them. Maybe I should help work together with them and we can battle this issue together. But yeah, I just think it's the disconnect in our people that we really need to educate our keiki on, because the fights and all the violence occurring in our community, it's getting out of pocket and out of hand. We really need to come back together as a people. We're all ohana. One way or another, we're all related. We all know each other. Our island is not very big. So you're going to know, your family is going to know other people's family. And it's just, we're all connected. We all need to understand that we're all connected. We're not against each other. We're together as one. Hawaii is it's supposed to be a place of aloha, and it's right now, it's not that. It's taking a turn to a negative point of view. I really hope our keiki can become more educated about their origins and their story. We all came from the same, I wouldn't say that. Okay, let me reword that. we come from the same anger. We're all angry at the state. We're all angry at the government for putting us in a situation that we have to fend for ourselves. Hawaii is so expensive. The keiki they grow up with this thing I'm poor and I gotta go to this lifestyle to get money to do all this illegal stuff, And I feel if we, instead of doing that, we can come together as a lahui, we're supposed to, we're here for, and we can find our better purpose instead of going the negative route. Can take all your anger and put it, all of us here, we're taking our anger and what we see as problems, and we're finding solutions in a positive manner. We're not over here fighting with each other. We're not yelling at the adults. We're working together to connect what we know and what we feel with the adults so that they can help us share this mana'o and connect everybody to fight this problem. Because it's not just one person. It's not just you're mad at the state and it's just the state's fault. It's this. But yeah, like you guys, it's the disconnect in the people that we really need to fix and come back together and understand each other. And it's just communication. I really hope we can get back to that, actually.
To continue off what she was saying about the disconnection with people, the biggest problem as of the generation right now is not a lot of the keiki have the mindset that us keiki have here now about taking care of our community and giving back to the āina, or doing sustainability things to help conquer the challenges that we're going through now. I mean, I get that they don't really understand, or like it's not interesting or eye-catching to what they want to do, but they also have to think about
their origins.
Yeah, their origins and the future generations that are upon us and looking up to us and watching our footsteps, because it all starts here. It starts with not only us kids, but also our kupunas and our mentors that's helping us trying to achieve our goals in life.
And voice
but
our opinions.
Yeah, it mainly all starts with us and having that mindset of being able to do what you want to do, and just putting your foot down, even though it seems out of comfort. I mean, I thought I never would have thought that I'd be someone giving back to the āina. But as I learned more and got myself involved in things like our Sustainable Saturdays with Kumu Piper, I started to realize that this program is really important for not only us keiki, but for everybody. And yeah, like she said, it's just one step forward. But other than that, it's just about having an open mind and really not only thinking about where you stand now, but also what the future holds for you.
For me, it's just setting a good and straight example for all these keikis around me. For us, our high school, right below it, there is a Kūkulu Elementary. Down the road, there is another elementary, Kopona Elementary. A little bit more down, there's another elementary, Kavaihona Elementary. So we have all of these keiki that's surrounding us and looking at us as an example. And we want to show them the right steps forward. So we want to be the one to set a good example for these keiki, so they don't grow up thinking like, oh, I don't know what to do. What is the next step? What am I supposed to do now? We want to be an example for them to know what to do, for get them ahead in life, not for them to have like a bad lifestyle. Like, we want them to grow up knowing what to do, what is the right thing to do and what is the bad thing to do. I know most of our peers, most of these kids, this is like, I don't like that kind. That's not what I like to do. Like what she was saying, it's not appearance to the eye. That's not me. That ain't cool. Da 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 da. But it's just the right way. It's the right thing to do. And by us following their generation and their responsibilities, all of these adults, all these kupunas, is setting example for these keiki to follow in. And the more keiki, then the more people, the more youth we can get, the more success we can have with our future. the more success, the more reputation that they will have, the more opportunities they will have in their future. If they take the right path, they're gonna have a nice reward at the end of it. You take the wrong path, you're gonna end up in bricks and thorns. So we're just setting example. Choose the right path or face the consequences.
Get comfortable being called a radical, because what is happening is radical. We have opportunity for radical change, and the only change that we should accept is radical. The only change that we're making is going to be radical. So get comfortable being uncomfortable, making systems very uncomfortable. I really just, because we want peace, we are dangerous. Because there are artists.
We depend on the violence.
No, because there are artists who paint beauty, who paint alternatives. We are dangerous. There is danger for these systems that are dangerous. So yeah, live in that space and feel that joy that is resistance. And the idea that, however significant, however, no matter the scale, whatever change you achieve is change that was at one time thought to be impossible. But don't compromise. Yeah.
Wow, that was very, very deep there, Ethan. So what I'm thinking I'm picking up from tonight's panel is that as you go forward, a couple of things to remember. It's going to be tough. It's going to be uncomfortable, but along the way, continue to exercise those values that you shared tonight. And if I can repeat, one is patience, humility, perseverance, and have fun. So get to know your subject area better than the other guys, so they don't can put rings around your head, So education becomes a very, very pivotal part in acquiring that domination over the other guys. It's going to be your willingness to stick with your education, learn as much as you can, take advantage of all the opportunities. You have right in front of you every day a teacher, several teachers. You guys got periods, yeah? How many periods? 7? Yes. 11? 7, okay. So you got 7 of those people who have gone through their schooling. They've acquired some dirt on their wheels through their experiences they can share with you guys. So you can speed up the learning process. You're fortunate to have your kupuna, who has thick mud on his wheels that he freely shares. And I can see that in you in the way that your thoughts are so mature for your age. And you all are actually, because of the experience you've had with your teachers, your mentors, your parents. And how we encourage the others outside of your little group of friends to experience what you've experienced is the challenge. Yeah. But as you said, no give up. Go for the long haul and the big picture. Thank you very much. We're right on time. I think it's the first panel we've done where we actually stayed within the time limit. And we had wonderful, wonderful sharing. Thank you all. And I take it very seriously when you said the young people need to have their voice. And it behooves us to present and to prepare forums where that can be heard. Yeah. If we don't, we're contributing to the problem. Yeah. Any last thoughts?
I just want to say that I'm very proud of you guys. Like, as the high school and 8th grade, you know, you guys learned a lot. Like, you guys have a lot of mana'o to share with everybody. And you guys are, I'm very proud of you guys. You guys have more mana'o than, I should say, like, half of the people I know here in college. And that's a lot. So where you guys take what you know and how you use it really depends on you. Like, you can teach your peers, you know? Like, you're 8th grade, you have a long way to go, but you can take your mana'o and you can instill it slowly in your school and, you know, make it known that this is what we need to work on and we need to come together. And then you guys might be graduating pretty soon, but you can pass it down to, you know, the freshmen and the intermediate, because you guys are all connected. It's just a way of how you teach them. Make it fun, make it exciting so that they get interested in it. And share what you know, like a honiniwai and all of that, share it with them. They need to know, they need to learn, and they need to open their eyes to the bigger picture. So what you guys are doing now and what you guys are continuing, I'm very proud of it. It's very inspiring to see how young you could be and start leading this big example. But keep doing what you guys are doing, and hopefully, slowly, we can change this community into something better than it is right now. But yeah, I'm very proud of you guys. Good job. Keep doing what you're doing, and yeah.
So the challenge is, how do you take us from here to there? The there is what's in your mind. Yeah. And thank you. I wholeheartedly agree with you that this has been a fine panel, deep understanding, and you know, Ethan's voice, your voice has really deepened from when I remember. But the uniform you wear is a way of, I guess, symbolically saying that this is a battle. It's not a war. It's a battle to get to where the vision is that the young people have. And key to that is communicating. So we'll work hard to present more forums where young people have the opportunity to speak up. And like your teacher was really akamai to see a national level convention going on and bring you guys there so you have a bigger perspective, a wider world to look at. Not just only us here in the Pacific. Somebody said just one spot. Yeah, no. Yeah, you need that broad perspective too. And reading allows you to get that perspective. Read a lot, okay? Read a lot. Read anything, but read. As you said, yeah. So thank you all tonight, and thank you the audience for sticking around. Thank you very much.
Aloha, aloha e, ke kaualoha wale mai la kaua e, ka mauna o ka liukua, I ku aloha me ka mahalo. Aloha, aloha e, ke kaualoha wale mai la kaua e, ka mauna o ka liukua, I ku aloha me ka mahalo. Aloha, aloha e. Aloha, aloha e. Aloha, aloha e. Aloha.